Hello and welcome to Gate to Wire. I'm Bruce Casella along with Dani Gibson, my partner, and our special guest this week is Ashley Eisenbeil, the marketing director for the Pennsylvania Horse Racing Association. Hi, Ashley, and welcome to Gate to Wire.
Thanks so much for having me, Bruce and Dani. I'm so excited to be here. It's awesome to be on another podcast other than Hot to Trot and me asking the questions. So I get asked the questions, so I'm excited to be here.
I know, and that's why it was cool to have you because there's so much we could talk about, and that's why I wanted to know. But everyone's seen you on Hot to Trot, your popular podcast, but let's talk about you a little bit and how you got into working in the horse racing industry.
Well, I got into horse racing probably about 15 years ago now. Wow. Feels like a while, but it also feels just like yesterday. I was a wedding planner on a golf course, and somebody who worked for the Preakness was attending a wedding and saw me doing a lot of multitasking that day. I was getting some bridesmaids ready to walk out to the ceremony site, and then also I had a couple young men trying to get a keg out on like the ninth hole for a golf outing, and they couldn't tap it. So I'm checking bridesmaids' teeth for lipstick and tapping a keg and sending them down to walk. And it was like an aunt of the bride said, "You're really cool and calm under pressure, aren't you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I do pretty well." And she's like, "Would you ever consider like working somewhere else?" I'm like, "Yeah." At the time, I had a 2-year-old. Weddings were, lots of weekends, lots of evenings. So I was like, "Sure." And they're like, "Well, can I get your information?" And it ended up that she was HR for the Preakness. And I went down there, they reached out right away for an interview and offered me the job at the end of the interview. And I was like, yes, like I knew about the Preakness, but I didn't really know. Like my dad had gone and my older brother had gone. And all I know is my dad back in the day. Preakness was pretty crazy in that infield. He's like, no daughter of mine will be at the Preakness. So I had never
Oh,
attended. But from there, I just fell in love with the industry. Like, I wanted to learn about what I was selling because I started out selling tickets and doing operations like credentials and stuff for the big event and helping with the seating and making sure the Preakness owners were in the right seats and the cameras and stuff and getting them down the steps during the like after the Preakness race to get them down to the winner's circle. It was like a whole team effort. But yeah, like I just fell in love with everything about it. And I wanted to learn more about like what I was selling. So my best thing I did was during my lunch break, I would go up to the simulcast floor at Pimlico, and I usually would bring some homemade treats, like some cookies, some brownies, for the older
smart
gentlemen up
girl.
there. And that's how I got to like read a form because they would put a form on our desk in the morning for racing, and I didn't know what I was looking at. I didn't know like what I was watching. So that's how I really got introduced and learned about racing was just mingling with the simulcast floor and learning more. And then from there, I just like fell in love with every part of the industry.
While being a part of the Preakness, you got to check out the inside part of it. All the trainers and all the very wealthy owners that would come in, the prince, of Dubai and all that kind of stuff. What was that like?
It was crazy because we were really hands-on. I mean, the Preakness team back then was really, we were quite small and we worked year round. So we were very hands-on with the Sheik when he came and making sure he had his preferences of things that he wanted to eat. My dad was there. Um, he actually had to stand because a lot of women actually worked for Tom Chukas at the Maryland Jockey Club back then, and there needed to be some attentive men there in suits if they needed anything. So we did station my dad there for a little bit on Preakness Day in case the Sheik's helpers decided they needed anything. And the one thing they did need was some burgers from the Budweiser beer garden area. They had mini sliders and it was like a whole ordeal out there that year and they got those. My dad like used his little walkie-talkie. So that was a cool experience, like having him help out that one year. My dad has like dark hair and a dark mustache and so yeah, I would get the whole family involved and like me, you would be so surprised. Like Graham Motion's parents were always there if he had a horse in the pre running in the Preakness race, like way before, like as soon as the race before ended. And I would get them seated because I would clear out the box, make sure it was clean, make sure the signs were up so all the horse connections knew where they were. And I always tried to make sure I took special care of them. They remembered my name every single year. So sweet, such sweet people. But there's lots of people I got to meet along the way that, just to put impressions on my heart and made me more fall in love with the industry. And like no matter what level you race at, even if you're, at the top of the top or you're in a maiden claimer, there's been people across the board that have touched my heart and wanted me to be more involved in racing every year.
Yeah, you can see it had a huge impact on your career. And I know I always love you talk about it so fondly, and you got to really be a part of history. Well, let's talk about Pennsylvania Horse Racing Association and the work you do with them and why it's so important, especially in this day and age, for outreach and marketing in horse racing.
Well, one of the things I loved about the concept that Pennsylvania had and why I moved into racing here in PA and out of Maryland was the fact that your stakeholders are our stakeholders, because I'm here now. I've always lived in PA, but wanted to come together, both harness and thoroughbred and breeders, to have a statewide branding campaign like together. And that's really like back, I've now been with the state of PA going on 9 years. That was new and revolutionary. Having harness and thoroughbred and breeders all want to be together. And that's, I thought, was the direction that marketing for the industry needed to be. We are a struggling industry. Coming together, using joint efforts, and we're horse racing. It's not just harness racing or thoroughbred, it's horse racing and breeding. And I love that concept. I love that they were going to come unified into that approach. And I was happy to apply to work for the commission in PA to be their marketing director and lead the charge. Was there for 2 years and then transitioned out of working for the commission and working directly for all of the stakeholders. So now I work with all six racetracks, the four horsemen associations, and the two breeders associations on making sure that we're driving the message of bringing new fans to horse racing, continuing educating like just introduced fans or maybe someone who is in and out of the industry doesn't follow it. We try to give them content that is easy to understand, easy to comprehend, and giving them the highlights of what's happening so they can start to get more familiar with the names and the trainers and the jockeys and the horses that we're talking about. Our industry is very daunting, especially I was someone who didn't grow up in it, so I know how it is to look at that form for the first time and go, "What the heck am I
Yeah.
looking at?" So there's a lot that goes into it. It's a very complex sport. So I think giving people the educational assets that PHRA does has been a major goal of mine, and our website is pretty good at that. I am looking at doing some upgrades to it, giving more information out there. But if you ever check it out, it has an interactive, program so you can see what all those little numbers are. You can see what the poles on the racetrack mean and what the
Yeah, get a crash
distances
course.
are. Those things that you look at when you're at the racetrack or you're watching a race that you might not know and don't know who to ask.
Ashley, how important is it to get the racetrack management involved with your program?
They are the house that holds our industry. So having their buy-in and them work together with us is one of the most important things. I find that we have a good working relationship, especially when we're doing like placement of ads to promote events. And whenever we come out, everyone's always very accommodating for what PHRA is doing. Many years we were doing the VR and bringing the simulators out, which was great. And then they've kind of gotten a little like everyone's done them. So we've kind of pulled away from that. But this year we're debuting a new interactive booth this year at Farm Show. We're super excited and we're excited to bring it to the racetracks and see how that's received by them as well. So, I mean, working with the tracks is key because, again, they host what we are debuting as our show, as our horses, our jockeys, our drivers. And that's super important. And I find, for the most part, that we can get along and agree that we want to bring fans to the racetrack and try and give them the best experience as possible. But there are restraints, and we have to be understandable with restraints with budget and people. And, they're not hosting a venue like the Preakness and the Preakness race and bringing in those ticket prices. We're letting people come in for free. So there are some, challenges that we face for everyday racing, bringing those fans in and making sure that they have a good experience.
Well, we've seen racing and how people consume marketing change so much, and social media is just huge, and you get news right away. Influencers are huge right now. What do you think about Griffin Johnson and all the awareness he's brought?
I love it. I love, I watched the symposium online. I didn't get to go out this year, but Jessica was also on the panel with Griffin. And I think that with America's Best Racing, bringing him on board and the success he has had and the enthusiasm that he's bring, that buy-in that he has, and you can just feel it. You can feel that he is really excited about being on this ride and this journey with the horses that he owns, and him going to the sale and stuff. It's great. We need more of it. But the other thing I think that is really evolved, and even the past like 3 years for influencers is influencers in our industry. Like, Dani, you're an influencer in our industry, and it's like hard, like I am too. So it's like hard to like comprehend that, but that
Yeah,
we
that's
have,
a good point. Yeah,
Danny Vasquez, he's an influencer now
yeah,
specifically for horse racing. So getting those outside influencers that might be, pop culture or fashion or things like that are great to bring awareness and new eyes to the sport. But once they get eyes on the sport, I think it's crucial that we have these industry influencers that are then taking them through the journey of being a fan and learning more and what goes into our sport. Those behind those scenes and the transparency, like Dani does and Moya,
yeah,
that's really important because people don't get to see that. They think these horses like show up on Kentucky Derby Day and they hit the track. Like,
yeah.
no, it didn't work like that. They get up every day and they train and they go to the track, and this has been a process. So I don't think people quite comprehend everything that goes into it and all the hands that touch these horses and how much we do really care about them as an industry. And being influencers in this industry is really important to let the public know and give some transparency to our sport that it hasn't had before.
Definitely.
Tell us about Hot to Trot.
Oh, hot to try. Oh, it is a podcast that was, I guess we're on season 3. We just closed it out. So this is year 2, a full year 2. Or we're going into year 3 now. We just closed out year 2. Started with Donnell Mock. It was her birth child, my very first co-host. Donnell is doing great, by the way. She went to the MSOA. She's now the director of the Horsemen there at the Meadows, and fantastic. I was a little put I was not so great to take this baby of a podcast because that was her baby. She asked me to co-host with, we were looking for different co-hosts, but she really wanted it to be me. She felt like we had a good I don't know, canter back and forth. So that's what we rolled with the name Hot to Trot. So I never like to be in front of the camera. I love to produce. I love to put other people in front of the spotlight. So it's been a journey for me to get comfortable in front of the camera. Now Meadow Twaddle has stepped in, thank God. She can carry me all day. She has evolved so much, and I couldn't be more proud of her. She's very young, came out of college, and just so enthusiastic. Comes from the harness side of things, which is what I need. I know a good bit about harness, but it's not as much as I do about thoroughbred and as comfortable as I feel. And that's what she lives and breathes with her family. So having her along the ride with me is like we are the yang to each other's yang. And this year we did those lives, and we did a live at Parks for PA Derby. They've been really successful. Fans really seem to enjoy the lives during those live events with big things going on at the races and getting those interviews. So we look forward to doing more. I mean, the lives also come with a lot of bloopers, a lot of us like waiting around going, where's our guest? And me usually being the comic relief, honestly.
That's awesome. You guys have great pictures and you had a lot of fun guests. Well, do you have a favorite racehorse, thoroughbred and standardbred, that like really kind of like made you fall in love with it?
Oh yeah. So the one that made me fall in love with the industry was I'll Have Another.
Okay, yeah, it's a good one.
That was the horse that like just made me fall in love with racing. I liked I'll Have Another California Chrome then following
Me
were
too,
my
yeah.
two big ones.
That's
Uh,
awesome. Well, I'll have another's baby just won the King Gloria Stakes yesterday in California, and that's the stakes that California Chrome won. So maybe we'll see some like full circle. So it's pretty cool.
I would love that. That horse did something for me watching the journey to get to
Yep,
Pimlico and the connections and they all came in early and just like oh I just fell in love with that horse,
really
the
inspired.
story,
Oh,
everything about it, how he was named after, sitting in the chair and saying, I'll have another cookie, I'll have another, I'll have another. Oh, I just loved every part of it.
well, and I feel like what you're doing too, like you and your boys are going to have great memories because how many times have you brought your boys to the booth and had them, on the rubber horses and just all the fun stuff. You guys are going to have good memories.
Oh, they've grown, like my oldest has definitely grown up in the racetrack and has gotten all the inside. He's owned part of harness horses. He is jogged harness horses, worked them. The youngest has done some. He's not as muscular as my older. Don't hate me, Wyatt. I love you. Wyatt. Wyatt just recently joined me at a stallion show and was helping, shuffle everybody in, get them their, raffle tickets, introduce themselves, let them know what time we were going to be showing the stallions. So both of my boys are my right hand men when it comes to my job. It's a family affair. I think everybody in this industry, if you are a part of it, like in some way, your whole family has to get involved.
Yeah.
And Aiden does work a lot of events for me. He'll be working farm show. He worked PA Derby, and also now I drag his teenage boyfriends, like the guys with him, into working for me too.
That's
Because
awesome.
honestly, the more muscle to carry those totes and my tables in, the better.
Good experience.
Well, before we wrap this up, Ashley, tell us a little bit about what we can see at the farm show. What's going to happen there?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're super excited, and I'll send you guys some pictures and clips. We just shot a little promo video. We are bringing a green screen photo booth to the farm show. So you can jump into the winner's circle at the Meadows, at Penn National, or take a picture with Smarty Jones.
Really
So
cool.
we have a lot of different backgrounds. People are going to be able to sign up, take the picture on our background, and then send it to themselves either through their text message or their email so they get to go home with a little souvenir. And then we plan on bringing that to the racetracks then for the big race days so we can give some, custom souvenirs to the fans and they can get their picture done in our photo booth. So we're super excited to see how it goes. Me and Jalen did a good test run at Penn National. We set it all up, did a little promo video. So Bruce, I'll send that over to you so you can air it with this.
Oh, that sounds great. All right. Anything else, Danny?
No, I love it. I think you guys are going to make a lot more racing fans with that. So it's a great idea. I can't wait to see it.
All right. Ashley, thank you for joining us here on Gate to Wire. And we really enjoyed everything you had to say. Keep up the good work and have a great holiday.
Thank you, you guys too.